and welcome to SIAL TV. I'm your host, Marc-Antoine, and right now we'll be discussing and tackling a question about sustainable business in food, social commitment, or social washing. So I am very pleased to welcome you, Anne Rise. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're CSR and Communication Manager for Froosh Smoothies. And, could you tell us a little bit more about CSR? And specifically CSR at Froosh, and if you have any programs in development already.
Definitely. I'm from Froosh Smoothies. We make 100% Froosh smoothies made from fruit. Mm-hmm. No sugar, no additives, no preservatives. That means that we buy at least 50% of the fruit in our smoothies. They are from developing countries. And we have decided about 2 years ago to do a little bit more than just accept that. We want to visit the fruit farms that we buy our fruit from, and we want to tell the stories that they are telling. Because what we've realized is that a fruit farm is not just a farm. For instance, in Africa, it's actually a livelihood. It's a sustainable piece of development and infrastructure. They're building schools, they're building health clinics. And those stories are very close to our hearts because, of course, we buy fruit from there.
Of course.
Yes.
And the fruit program is your creation?
Actually, it's our CEO's creation. Yes.
Oh, well, great.
He used to be the president of Coca-Cola's Africa division. Uh-huh. So he has experienced on his own body, I would say, how African entrepreneurs and workers have a great capacity and capabilities. And trading and not just giving development aid is something that's very close to his and the rest of Froosh hearts. So he started by sending consumers and retailers and media about 2 years ago, sending to fruit farms in developing countries to learn about the fruit, but also to learn about all the impact that the fruit farms are doing. And the program has grown a lot. Right now we're sending, I would say, about 10 to 12 delegations of people, always staff as well, to fruit farms in developing countries. We have visited, for instance, Malawi mangoes 8 times by now. Wow. They started their program or their fruit farm back in 2011, and we followed them pretty much every quarter ever since to see an amazing progress. Every time we go there, they're just building more and hiring more workers, making an income, a steady income for all these family farmers that used to be depending on just day-to-day work.
And when you want to start a new CSR strategy, what do you have to keep in mind? What do you have to think about?
Well, I think one of the reasons why our program has turned out to be a pretty good success so far is, and we've gotten a lot of publicity, media, and so on, is the fact that we started by finding out what it is that's close to our hearts. It's not a tick box exercise. It's not standards and procedures and CSR reporting and saying, okay, so we want to show the media that we're good, so we just click. What we did is that we looked at the fruit and we said, okay, so we have a very relevant relationship with the fruit, and it is from developing countries, so that gives us a lot of credibility. And so definitely in terms of standards and procedures, that's great, but make sure that the initiative that you choose to dedicate yourself to is actually relevant to your product, particularly in the food and beverage industry. Mm.
And do you want to tell us a little bit more about the feedback from media, consumers, retailers?
Yes, definitely.
The CSR? Yeah?
Definitely. The media was a bit of a hard nut to crack in the beginning.
Yes.
You don't want to bribe them in any kind of way. But what we do is that we offer them to go. We don't pay them anything, and then we just give them a shovel. Go and work with us. Go and work with the local workers. Try and learn about the fruit. But then we take them to the schools, take them to the health clinics, visit the local politicians, and so on. And then they experience on their own, themselves, how amazing trading with these communities and how important it is for them. And that is linking up to our whole philosophy about trading and not just giving development aid. We've seen, particularly in Malawi, is how NGOs, I'm sure with a great intention, but have given out tomato plants to lots of poor farmers, with the result that you go to the local market and everybody has the same kind of tomato. Obviously, you can't sell your tomatoes, but you have to feed your kettle with it. So I think it's very important, again, to find the right initiative. It has to make sense for your product, and it has to be honest. You can't just do you can't just get the lowest hanging fruit. It has to be true.
Okay. And what about the rules of labels, for example? If we can talk about a bit about sustainability and.
Yeah, labels and sustainability. Labels, I would say, fair trade, Rainforest Alliance, community fair trade. There are lots of labels now. Again, great initiative, and I'm sure a lot of it is great. Yet, I'm just sometimes a little bit afraid that it drowns out in standards and procedures, and that you don't end up with the most genuine and legitimate CSR project, actually.
Okay.
Also, many of these labels are more of a show effect, and maybe when you look into it, it doesn't always have the right initiative. That said, of course, it's good to try and find what is the right project for you. It's just important that you follow up on it and that you know it's the right one. So for us specifically in Froosh, no labels. You don't see anything on the bottle, even though I'm pretty sure we do a lot more than,
it's quite,
than many companies. Also, I think the consumers might have gotten a little bit confused now. You have so many different labels that the value has been emptied out a little bit. So if you choose to put a label on your product, which can be a good thing, just to be sure that it's the right one.
Okay. And how important is it to engage the whole company in a CSR program or strategy?
Vital
Okay.
for its success, definitely. CSR can't be some little department on the side where you're just washing your hands and showing the media that you're doing something. This has to come from everybody in the company. And of course, that can be a challenge. You know, you're dedicating resources to something that you might not see on the first day on the bottom line. But many companies, fortunately, have started to see that it does, show itself on the bottom line. And I think it is very, very important that everybody in the company are talking about the project and are feeling it. That's why we're sending all staff on fruit farms, definitely. Okay. And then, obviously, the management. It's vital for its success. If it's not a priority, and if it's just a little side kick, then it won't, in my opinion, succeed.
And maybe we could have a word on the challenges you're facing when you're developing a CSR strategy, or generally in this field.
Well, I think again the tick box exercise is very close to my heart. Be sure you don't just get the first standards and procedures and squeeze in your initiative into that, because then someone will feel like you washed your hands. Make sure that it's relevant to the product. I think that's the most important thing. Don't care about labels, don't care about standards, procedures. Sit down and talk with your management about your product, where, for instance, in the food and beverage industry, of course, what's the origin of the product, and then find out if there's something here that we can do that makes sense.
I can sense that one of the very important ingredients in CSR is passion.
You're right, which is, we have passion fruit.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you very much. Do you want to add a little something about CSR?
I would say no, but I
else?
think it's great that the trend is definitely explosive at the moment. Pretty much all big food and beverage companies in the industry, they have some kind of a CSR program. Of course, it can always be refined, but I think we're going in the right direction. Particularly transparency and traceability. Of course, origin, going back to the product, has become larger, and I applaud the industry for that.
Well done. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next on a SIAL TV show.